Teresa Bailey, as you approach the end of your master's education with the goal of helping people exit and recover from destructive cults, how would you guide recovering people to learn to relax and have fun? What did you discover on the outside that was the most fun when you got away from the bubble world? Along with that, how would you advise these people to steer clear of the excesses available on the outside? Hey, Teresa, thank you very much for this question. It's a very good one. There's a lot I could say on this one, but I'll try to keep it short and to the point. So first off, learning to relax and have fun. Now, I've talked about this before, and I said, and I'll continue, along this line, that I think it's something you have to practice. I think if, coming out of, God, how do I put this? When you are all in with any belief set, with any kind of, the cult mentality is a totalist mentality. It dominates your thinking. It consumes your every living hour or waking hour, trying to work or help or do activity along the lines of whatever the extremist belief set is. It's all consuming. It really does take over your whole life. And so everything else, to one degree or another, whether it's your partner, your job, your hobbies or activities, your kids, your family, all of those take a back seat to this interest or this thing this subject or this thing you have to be working on or doing. In my case, it was Scientology. With other people, it's other things, whether it's religious or whether it's sports related or whatever it is, political, social values, when it's all consuming, when it is in your entire life and you don't have room for anything else, there's probably something unhealthy going on there. Human beings tend to be best, I think, when their attention can go from one thing to another kind of at will. And you can select and choose where you want to have your attention. And you have a wide range of things that you are paying attention to or are looking at. It's good, in other words, to take a break from time to time. So it might feel when you are all in on something that it's the best thing you could possibly do. This is all you'd ever want to put your attention on or invest your time and effort and money and all that in. And it might feel like, no matter what it is, really, no matter what, it might feel like this is the absolute bee's knees, best thing ever. And of course, why would you want to spend time doing anything else? But I think you're going to find, as life progresses and time moves on, that that's not really the best way to go about living one's life. Okay, so how do you get out of that headspace? Well, I think it takes practice, and this is how I had to do it. I had to, as you guys have noted or commented on in the past, you come out of one of these groups like Scientology or the Sea Org, and you have this incredible work ethic. Work, right? Well, like I just mentioned, that might not be so healthy. That's something you kind of get trained into, or you kind of get, pushed into, and you kind of have to pull yourself out of it by disciplining yourself really to take breaks, to give yourself a break, someplace else to put your attention from time to time. If you don't watch TV, watch some TV. If you don't go outside because you spend all your time inside, kind of flip the script on yourself. Do something very different from what you're used to doing. It will change and mess with your ability to put attention on things, your attention span. It will mess with your thinking processes. It'll mess with your habits. It'll mess with your now I'm supposed to's. Because the totalist environment is full of double binds and now I'm supposed to's, guides and rules and regulations and what you have to do. And so you can get into a very fixed set of ideas of what is and isn't okay for you to do. And busting out of that means going and doing things that maybe you're like, oh, I don't know about this. I'm not so sure this is the right thing for me to do. No, try it. Go for it, right? I mean, obviously, if it's not going to kill you, And when you mention here, of course, to steer clear of the excesses. Okay, so this is one of those things where there's a little bit of school hard knocks there where you have to kind of try it and figure yourself out. I'm talking here maybe about recreational drugs or alcohol or partying or getting out socially and meeting and greeting and seeing people and making friends and forming relationships with people outside of what would normally be your echo chamber or comfort zone or however you want to call it. Really stretching those flippers out, right? Really stretching those wings out there and trying new things. It's scary. It's difficult. It is uncomfortable. It is. It can be exacerbating. Even it can be very, very straining. It can be anxiety-inducing. It can even be a little depression-inducing to try to flip the script on yourself and start doing new things. But I think that it's the only way. There's no substitute for experience, and there's no amount of reading you can do or learning you can do that will ever be a substitute for a real lived experience of doing a thing, right? You can read all about skydiving, but until you jump out of a plane, you really don't know what it's like. Or any number of things. So there really isn't any way to get across to somebody, who's been in this totalist bubble world. Everything you have to, these folks got to go out and start living. And living beyond the parameters and the double binds and the guides and rules and everything and strictures that they were living under before. It takes energetic effort. It's not a passive thing. If you are somebody who's listening to me right now, who has been in one of these groups, it's scary. It's not necessarily like an easy thing to do to go try new stuff. But I think you'll find in doing it, and it takes small steps. It's okay you don't have to go dive off the cliff right away. I mentioned skydiving. You don't have to go jump out of a plane straight away. Just take a walk, walk around your environment, walk around your neighborhood, say hi to a few people, start small and then build up from there. You don't want to even overwhelm yourself with this, because that'll just make it even harder for yourself, and you'll get even more depressed or more anxious, and you'll prove to yourself how you can't do anything, right? You don't want to do that to yourself. So give yourself little wins, little steps along the way. Oh, I went out. I mean, seriously, I'm talking from my own experience here. I spent so much time in the Sea Org, sitting in a chair, sitting in a room, sitting in a basement, not looking, not going out in the world, not talking to people, not wanting to deal with all those, those non-Scientologists out there. We had very derogatory terms for them, which I don't even want to use anymore. So in overcoming that, you don't have to go to the other extreme right away. Just gradually do it. If it's uncomfortable for you, for example, to even go out and take a walk and potentially interact with people, right? And then give yourself 10 minutes of a walk. Just that. And then the next day, see if you can make it 15. Build yourself up a little bit at whatever your comfort level is, but push yourself a little bit. It's not so dissimilar to building up muscle or getting yourself in shape or getting fit. It's a discipline. It's something you have to practice. You have to work on. The muscle that you are retraining, by the way, or that you are building up newly, is this one, the one in your head, your brain, right? Because it responds and acts similarly, not exactly the same, but similarly to muscle tissue, not in terms of building up, but in terms of when you practice with it, you build up. action patterns and neural pathways and stuff like that up here. And the only way to build that up and the only way to change your earlier behavior is to purposefully engage in new, different behavior repeatedly. Over and over and over again until you get used to the new way of operating, the new way of acting. And you'll find in doing that the old ways gradually fade away. Okay? Saying an awful lot here. I hope not too much, and I hope I'm being a little clear. But these are just some bullet point ideas of how I think one might approach this and maybe the right attitude to have about it. Oh, maybe the last thing I want to say is give yourself plenty of time. There is no hurry at all. You got the rest of your life. Give yourself that time. In fact, give yourself the luxury of that time. Really pamper yourself with it a little bit, because part of the totalist environment for most people in being involved in a destructive cult situation or high control group is the time factor. Is you're always being pushed, rush, now, go, let's go, right? It's always like everything is always at this like incredibly bizarre everything has to happen right now kind of speed. And that is an artificially created reality. The real world doesn't demand that of you except in dire emergency situations. And recovery from a destructive cult is not that. You want to purposefully chill out. So yeah, get out there and do things that are different for you and flip your scripts. But be chill about it too, okay? Give yourself time to enjoy the experiences, to savor the perceptions and the sensations and the experience of it. Because that's part of the fun of it, is really getting into the experience of it. Anyway, those are some little bits of advice that I hope are useful or helpful in some way.